guys, today we're gonna make Hasselback Honeynut squash with maple syrup and sage. I'm gonna thank my friends from US Knife Works that gave me an enormous hand to do this dish. Alright, so Honeynut squash are already peeled with the magic of TV. So I'm composting the skin like I mentioned before. In some cases I eat it, not for this particular recipe. So now I'm gonna use my chef knife to cut it in half. I found it easier to do a cut and then go all the way to the back, there. And then we're gonna go on the other side. There we go. I wanna save a little bit of the stem for presentation, so bear with me. Ay. Yay! Ta-da! 2 little halves. To recap a little bit, I peeled the Honeynut squash. I cut them in half, super easy with this amazing knife. I am leaving the stems on just for beauty. It's a little, hard, and you don't want to ruin your knife or anything. But the good thing about these knives is that you can send them to them and they will sharpen them for you. So they're gonna look cute when they're done. You'll see that. The next step is to remove the seeds. So for that, I'm gonna get a spoon and scoop all the seeds out. To cut them for the Hasselback. Hasselback are those little lines on the back, like a horse, imagine. We're gonna pre-bake them for a few minutes. So I have the scoops out already. I'm gonna put them on a sheet tray, line up with parchment. I measured this before, so they should all fit in here. Bear with me. Then I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil, just wrap them. A little bit of salt. Kosher salt, no kosher salt. And a little bit of pepper. Just to start giving them some flavor. They're gonna get a lot more flavor after. Let's make sure that they get really all wrapped up. There you go. So wrap them. I'm using my hands. If you don't want to use your hands, you can use the brush, but I decided to go with my hands and then wash my hands properly. So I have one less dish to do. There you go. And now they're ready to go in the oven. The next thing that we're gonna do is prepare what's gonna give the flavor to our Hasselback Honeynut squash. For that we're gonna use some sage and some neutral oil that you can put in the oven. And in this case I'm gonna use grapeseed and maple syrup and salt and pepper, obviously. So the first thing that I'm gonna be cutting is the sage. But to mix it with the oil and the maple syrup, we need to chop it. And in order to chop it, I'm using my US Knife Works petty knife. This is my favorite knife. Everybody knows it. I have it for so long. It was given to me, and I think it's great. A great size. It's the perfect size for me. I probably use it the most from all my other knives. So I'm gonna chop this first and then I show you how I mix it. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna make the flavor that's gonna cover the Honeynut squash going back in the oven. Like I said before, I'm gonna use some maple syrup. It's perfect for this weather. I think maple syrup and sage go a long way. It's like a marriage made in heaven. And in this case, because they're gonna go in the oven for a while, I'm gonna use a neutral oil, like grapeseed oil. So I'm using one of these jars that it has lines on the side, so I can actually see what I measure. Don't worry, this is gonna have a recipe, and I'm gonna tell you exactly how much you need. I think I'm gonna do, maybe I'll do a little extra. And if you have extra of this, you can use it for a salad or for something else. You can easily put it in, there's no animal product here, so you can easily put it in the fridge and save it. A nice splash of maple syrup. And then last but not least, our friend the sage. Okay. Maybe another pinch of salt. This salt. for good measure. And I'm gonna mix it. You can literally like close the jar and give it a nice shake. I'm just going to use my little whisk. There you go. So we are ready to cover our honey nut squash. While your honey nut squash is in the oven, we're gonna prepare the toppings. I'm gonna make some croutons. They're probably gonna turn up in breadcrumbs. I'm just cutting them so they cook a little faster and easier. And don't worry, they don't have to be perfect. You want different textures in there. I'm using my newest Knife Works deli knife. Deli for delicious. I love the little serrated. It's great for cutting bread and other things. There you go. Another thing that you can use to top this delicious honey nut squash, something very seasonal, some pecans or pecans, however you like to do it. So I'm gonna roughly chop them with my chef knife. Even the colors of the handle are for the season. Not perfect, just rough chop. You can toast them if you want. I won't in this case. I just want them to finish up, to have some crunch on it, you know. The guys are done. They were in the oven for 15 minutes. And now we're gonna use our big chef knife to make the cuts, to turn them into the Hasselbacks. So for that, we're gonna get each of them. This will warm it up a little bit. And you have to make parallel cuts, as even as possible. And a trick not to cut all the way to the bottom is using chopsticks or any wooden spoon that you might have. So now that you have them all cut, we're gonna add what I told you before, the maple syrup with the oil and the sage all over. We want an excess around, so it will caramelize and give them great flavor. And that sage that I saved, remember the big sage? I'm gonna lay it on the sides and hopefully it will get all crunchy, so you'll have a nice, beautiful presentation. We're gonna put it in the oven at 425 for about 45 minutes to an hour. I recommend that you check it depending on the size of your honey nut squash or butternut squash that you use. Obviously it's gonna take longer, so you might wanna check it out half the way and rotate the pan in the oven once or twice, and then you're done. Like I told you before, we're gonna top this delicious honey nut squash with some different toppings. One of them is bacon. This bacon I have it already cooked. You can do that, have it cook ahead. The way I like to cook it is on a sheet pan with a rag, all at once, all together, and then it will drip all that delicious fat that you can save to cook something else. So this one got a little cold already, but if you want to have a little warm before you serve it, you just pop it in the oven and that's it. So now we're gonna use our chef knife from newest Knife Works and cut it in little pieces. If you want it smaller, you can cut it smaller, chop it all the way. I like to find a big chunk of bacon with this dish. There you go. Another thing that we can use to top this delicious honey nut squash is some goat cheese. So I have just a couple of logs of regular plain goat cheese, and I'm gonna cut them with the mini chopper. I love this little knife. Oops, there you go. It's perfect for your bar. It's perfect to cut like cheese, to put it in a cheese platter, in a presentation platter. You can bring it to the table. Beautiful. There you go. All right, these guys are ready. Beautiful. I wish you can smell them. It smells delicious. I smell the sage and the maple syrup. So we are ready for plating. All right, guys. So here you go. Hasselback's honey nut squash is ready. Like I told you before, when I get it out of the oven, it smells delicious. It smells like holidays in here. So this is great for this weather, for Thanksgiving, Christmas, any party you wanna impress your guests. There you go. So at this point, you can actually put it away and reheat it when you are gonna serve it. Definitely you can eat it room temperature. I don't see why not. And then you have all the toppings that I showed you before, the goat cheese and bacon, some nuts, and the breadcrumbs. But you can give people the option to put them on their plates, or you can present it with all the toppings on it. So that's it. I'm gonna try this delicious Hasselback Honeynut squash that I made with the help of my friends from US. Thank you so much. So here we go. Oh my goodness, delicious. Love it, love it, love it. The sage comes through. Super good.